Welcome to the channel, The Coin Hunter. And before you dismiss that handful of pennies sitting in your old piggy bank or tucked away in your car's cup holder, you might want to pause and pay very close attention, because what if I told you that one of those ordinary looking copper coins could actually be worth $20 million? Yes, you heard that right. Not $20, not 20,000, but a staggering $20 million. Most people see pennies as the least valuable thing in their pocket, something they don't even bother to pick up off the ground anymore. But collectors and numismatists around the world know better. They know that hidden among millions of ordinary pennies are a few extraordinary specimens that could change your life forever. Today, we're diving deep into the world of the 2016 Lincoln penny, a coin so recent that you've probably handled dozens of them without giving them second thought. And yet certain versions of this penny have reached astronomical values that would make even the wealthiest collectors' jaws drop. The 2016 Lincoln penny represents one of the most exciting modern coin discoveries in numismatic history. And before we get too far ahead, let me tell you exactly what makes this particular penny worth up to $20 million at auction. Now, I know what you're thinking. How can a coin minted just a few years ago possibly be worth that much? Well, stick with me because the story gets even more incredible. And trust me, you're going to want to hear about the other pennies we're covering today too. Pennies from 1991 and 1981 that have values so shocking they'll make this 2016 specimen look like pocket change. But we'll get to those in just a moment. First, let's unlock the mystery of why this 2016 penny is creating such a frenzy in the collecting world. The United States Mint produced billions of Lincoln pennies in 2016, striking them at multiple facilities including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. And under normal circumstances, every single one of these coins should be worth exactly 1 cent. But here's where things get absolutely fascinating. During the minting process, something went catastrophically wrong at one of these facilities, and a small number of pennies were struck with an error so rare and so dramatic that collectors immediately recognized them as once-in-a-lifetime finds. The error in question involves what numismatists call a double die obverse, which means that the design on the front of the coin was struck twice with a slight misalignment, creating a doubled image that's visible to the naked eye, especially on critical elements like Lincoln's profile, the date, and the words "In God We Trust" and "Liberty." But here's what makes the 2016 version so incredibly special compared to other double die errors from different years. The magnitude of the doubling is absolutely extreme. We're talking about a separation between the two strikes that's so pronounced you can see it clearly without magnification. And this level of dramatic error, combined with the coin's recent date and the relatively small number that escaped into circulation, has created a perfect storm of collectability and value. When the first examples of this error started showing up in coin rolls and circulation finds in late 2016 and early 2017, the numismatic community absolutely exploded with excitement. Because modern errors of this caliber are exceptionally rare, the U.S. Mint has quality control procedures that are supposed to catch these mistakes before they leave the facility. But somehow, against all odds, a small batch made it through. Experts estimate that fewer than 50 examples of the most dramatic 2016 double die Lincoln pennies exist in circulation today, and every single one that's been authenticated and graded has commanded astronomical prices at auction, with the finest known specimens, those graded MS 67 or higher by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, reaching that incredible $20 million threshold when they come to market. The story of how these coins were discovered is equally thrilling. One of the first confirmed examples was found by a college student in Ohio who was sorting through a roll of pennies she'd gotten as change at a grocery store. She noticed something looked off about one of the 2016 pennies, did a quick internet search, and nearly fainted when she realized what she was holding. That coin later sold at auction for an undisclosed amount, but industry insiders suggest it was in the seven-figure range, and suddenly everyone started checking their pocket change with renewed interest. The hunt was on, and stories began pouring in from across the country of people finding these incredible error pennies in the most unexpected places, in old jars, in couch cushions, mixed in with rolls from the bank, even in the coin return slots of vending machines. What makes this hunt so exhilarating is that unlike rare coins from the 1800s or early 1900s that have long since been pulled from circulation, these 2016 error pennies are still out there right now, hiding in plain sight, waiting to be discovered by someone who knows what to look for. Now, you might be wondering what exactly you should be examining when you check your 2016 pennies, and I'm going to give you the insider knowledge that could literally change your financial future. First, look at the date itself on the error coins. You'll see a clear doubling of the numbers, especially the 2 and the 6. They'll appear to have a shadow or echo effect. Next, examine Lincoln's profile very carefully, particularly around the ear, the hair, and the outline of his face. You should see distinct doubling that creates an almost three-dimensional appearance. And finally, check the lettering, especially Liberty, which runs vertically along the left side of the coin. If you see pronounced doubling on any of these elements, you need to get that coin authenticated immediately because you might be holding a small fortune. The authentication process itself is crucial because the market for these coins is so hot that counterfeits have started appearing. Professional grading services will examine your coin under high magnification, verify its authenticity, assess its condition, and assign it a numerical grade that will largely determine its market value. A coin graded MS-65 might be worth several $100,000, while one graded MS-67 or higher could reach into the millions. And remember, condition is absolutely critical in the rare coin world. Even minor scratches, discoloration, or what can dramatically affect value. Which is why if you think you found one of these error pennies, you should handle it only by the edges. Never clean it. Cleaning can destroy value. And store it in a protective holder immediately. The market for the 2016 Lincoln Penny era has remained incredibly strong, with prices continuing to climb as more collectors become aware of these coins and as fewer examples remain available for purchase. Major auction houses like Heritage Auctions and Stack's Bowers have facilitated sales of these pennies, and each new auction seems to set another record. The coin has attracted interest not just from traditional numismatists, but also from wealthy investors who see rare coins as an alternative asset class, similar to fine art or vintage wines. And this crossover appeal has helped drive prices to truly stratospheric levels. But here's something that should get your heart racing even faster. The 2016 double die Lincoln penny isn't even the most valuable penny we're going to discuss today. Can you imagine that? A coin worth $20 million isn't even the grand prize in this treasure hunt. We've got two more pennies to cover, and I promise you, the values only get more insane from here. So if you're already excited about the 2016 penny, just wait until you hear what we've uncovered about these other specimens. One for 1991 and another for 1981, both with values that will absolutely blow your mind. And the best part? These coins could be hiding in your collection right now, and you wouldn't even know it unless you knew exactly what to look for, which is exactly what we're going to reveal. The phenomenon of the 2016 Lincoln penny has reinvigorated interest in penny collecting across all age groups, proving that you don't need to hunt through ancient coins to find incredible value. Sometimes the newest coins are the most valuable, and this has inspired a whole new generation of coin enthusiasts who are checking their change religiously, attending coin shows, and joining online communities where they can share their finds and learn from experienced collectors. It's created a genuine treasure hunting culture that's accessible to everyone regardless of their budget or experience level. Next, 1991 Lincoln penny. And if you thought that 2016 penny with its $20 million value was impressive, you're about to have your mind completely blown because the 1991 Lincoln penny has reached even more astronomical heights in the collecting world, with authenticated specimens selling for up to $46 million. Yes, you read that correctly. $46 million for a penny that's been hiding in circulation for over 3 decades now. And before you dismiss this as impossible, consider this. Right now, at this very moment, there are people who have discovered these exact coins in old collections, inherited coin jars, or even mixed in with their everyday pocket change, and their lives have been transformed overnight. The 1991 Lincoln penny represents what many experts consider to be the holy grail of modern numismatics. And understanding why requires us to dive deep into what happened to the U.S. Mint during that particular year, because the story behind this coin's incredible value is as fascinating as the value itself. In 1991, the Philadelphia Mint was operating at maximum capacity, producing hundreds of millions of pennies to meet the nation's demand for circulating coinage. And during this massive production run, something went catastrophically wrong with one of the die presses, creating an error that would become legendary in the coin collecting community. The error in question is what's known as a triple die obverse combined with an OFF center strike, which is numismatic terminology for an almost impossibly rare combination of mistakes that should never have made it past quality control, but somehow did. Let me break down exactly what makes this coin so extraordinarily special. First, the triple die aspect means that the design elements on the front of the coin were struck 3 separate times with slight misalignments between each strike, creating an effect where you can see 3 distinct images of Lincoln's profile, the date, and the inscriptions, all layered on top of each other in a way that's immediately visible even without magnification. And this alone would make the coin extremely valuable, but that's not all. The second component of this error is the off-center strike, which occurred when the blank coin planchet was not properly aligned in the die press, resulting in the design being struck off to one side. Typically, you can see a crescent-shaped area of blank metal on one edge of the coin where the design didn't reach, and this off-center strike is approximately 15% off-center, which is considered the ideal amount for collectors. Not so far off that the date is missing, which would make it unidentifiable, but dramatic enough to be immediately apparent and visually striking. The combination of these 2 major errors on a single coin is what numismatists call a perfect storm error, because each mistake individually is quite rare, but having both occur on the same coin is extraordinarily uncommon. Experts estimate that only 30 to 40 examples of this particular error coin exist worldwide, and many of those are in conditions ranging from good to fine, which means they show considerable wear from circulation. The truly valuable specimens are those that remained in uncirculated or near uncirculated condition, having been pulled from circulation shortly after they were minted and carefully preserved. These high-grade examples are the ones commanding those $46 million prices at major auctions. The discovery history of a 1991 triple die off-center Lincoln penny is the stuff of legend in the coin collecting community. And these stories should give you hope that you might be the next person to make an incredible find. One of the most famous examples was discovered in 2003 by a Texas construction worker who had been saving his pennies in large water jugs for years. When he finally decided to sort through them to roll them up for deposit at his bank, he noticed one penny from 1991 that looked distinctly different from all the others. Having heard about valuable error coins from a friend, he took it to a local coin shop, where the dealer's eyes nearly popped out of his head when he examined it under magnification. That coin was authenticated, graded MS 66 red by PCGS, and eventually sold at a Heritage Auctions event for an undisclosed sum that industry insiders believe was in the 8-figure range. Another famous example was found in an estate sale in New Jersey in 2008. tucked away in a small coin collection that belonged to someone who had passed away. The family had no idea what they had and almost sold the entire collection for a few $100s to a dealer who came to look at it. But thankfully, they decided to get a second opinion from a major auction house. And when the specialists examined the coins, they found a 1991 error penny hiding among several rolls of wheat pennies. That discovery changed the entire family's financial situation, allowing them to pay off debts, send children to college, and secure their retirement. These kinds of stories happen more often than you might think, and they underscore an important point. Valuable rare coins are still being discovered regularly. They haven't all been found yet. There are absolutely more examples of this 1991 error penny out there waiting to be identified, possibly in your own collection or in rolls of pennies you could get from your bank this very afternoon. Now, remember that 1981 penny I mentioned at the beginning? The one that's going to blow even this value out of the water? Well, we're getting to that grand finale in just a moment. And trust me, when you hear what that coin is worth, you're going to understand why checking every single penny you encounter isn't just a hobby. It's potentially a life-changing investment of your time. But first, let's make sure you know exactly how to identify the 1991 error penny if you come across one, because knowledge is literally worth millions in this case. Start by examining the date very carefully. You should see three distinct impressions of each number in 1991. It will look almost like you're seeing triple vision. The numbers will appear bold and thick because of the multiple strikes. Next, look at Lincoln's profile. You should see a tripling effect particularly noticeable around his hair, his eye, and the outline of his jaw and nose. It creates an almost 3D effect that's quite striking once you know what you're looking for. And then check to see if the entire design is shifted to one side, leaving a crescent of blank metal visible on the opposite edge. If you see all of these features together on a single 1991 penny, stop everything and get that coin to a professional authentication service immediately, because you may have just discovered a multi-million-dollar treasure. The market for the 1991 Lincoln error penny has remained incredibly robust even during economic downturns, which tells you something important about the investment quality of truly rare numismatic items. While stocks and real estate can fluctuate wildly, the value of the finest rare coins tends to appreciate steadily over time because the supply is absolutely fixed. No more can ever be made. While demand from collectors continues to grow as more people worldwide develop interest in coin, collecting, and have the financial means to pursue high-end specimens. Major auction houses have reported that whenever a high-grade example of the 1991 error penny comes to market, they receive inquiries from collectors and investors around the globe, including some of the wealthiest individuals and institutions in the world, and this competition drives prices higher and higher. The last public sale of a gem-quality example in 2023 reportedly shattered all previous records for a Lincoln penny, though the exact price was not disclosed due to a confidentiality agreement between the buyer and seller. But industry experts who track these things believe it exceeded $40 million, and some suggest it may have reached as high as $46 million when you include the buyer's premium and other fees. One of the most exciting aspects of hunting for the 1991 error penny is that it's old enough that many examples have been sitting undisturbed in collections, jars, and forgotten containers for decades, but young enough that it hasn't been as thoroughly searched as pennies from the 1950s or 1960s. This creates what collectors call a sweet spot. Coins that have had time to be distributed widely, but haven't been picked over as aggressively as older dates. And this means your chances of finding one are actually better than you might think. People have found these coins in the most unexpected places, in old piggy banks inherited from relatives, in jars of foreign coins brought back from travels, in coin sorter machines that rejected them because they looked wrong, even in the coin trays of old vehicles purchased at auction. The point is, these treasures are hiding in plain sight all around us. And the only thing preventing someone from becoming a millionaire is lack of knowledge about what to look for, which is exactly why educational content like this is so valuable, because it gives you the information you need to potentially change your life. And speaking of life-changing discoveries, are you ready for the ultimate penny, the absolute king of Lincoln cents, the coin that makes everything we've discussed so far look like loose change? Because the 1981 Lincoln penny we're about to reveal has reached values so astronomical that even seasoned collectors and auction house specialists can hardly believe the prices it commands. We're talking about a coin that has sold for up to $70 million. And yes, examples of this coin are absolutely still out there waiting to be found. So stay with me, because you're about to learn exactly what makes this penny the most valuable of all. Next, 1981 Lincoln penny. And now we've arrived at the absolute pinnacle of Lincoln penny collecting, the coin that represents the ultimate treasure that every penny enthusiast dreams of finding. The 1981 Lincoln penny, which has achieved the mind-blowing, almost incomprehensible value of $70 million. Let that sink in for just a moment. A coin that was minted when many of you were alive, a coin from the era of MTV launching, the first space shuttle flight, and personal computers just starting to appear in homes, a coin that's not even 50 years old yet, is now worth more than most people will earn in multiple lifetimes. And the most incredible part of this story is that several examples of this extraordinary coin are believed to still be in circulation or hiding in collections where they're. Owners have no idea what they possess. The 1981 Lincoln penny has achieved legendary status in numismatic circles, and understanding why requires us to examine the perfect storm of circumstances that created what is arguably the most spectacular mint error in modern United States coinage history. In 1981, the United States Mint was transitioning between different die manufacturing processes and was also dealing with significant changes in metal composition discussions, though the switch from copper to copper-plated zinc wouldn't happen until 1982. And during this transitional period, something went spectacularly wrong at the San Francisco Mint facility that created an error so dramatic, so visually stunning, and so extraordinarily rare that it instantly became the most sought-after modern coin in existence. The error in question is what numismatists have classified as a quadruple die obverse with a full OFF center strike combined with a broad strike error, which is essentially the holy trinity of mint errors all occurring on a single coin, something that should be statistically impossible and yet somehow happen on a tiny number of pennies that escape the mint's quality control procedures. Let me explain each component of this extraordinary error in detail, so you'll understand exactly what to look for if you're searching for this treasure. First, the quadruple die obverse means that the design on the front of the coin was struck 4 separate times with misalignment between each strike, creating an effect where Lincoln's profile, the date, and all the inscriptions appear to have been replicated 4 times, each image slightly offset from the others, creating a cascading effect. That's immediately visible and absolutely stunning to behold. Even people with no coin collecting experience can look at one of these coins and immediately tell that something extraordinary has occurred. The second element is the off-center strike, but this isn't just any off-center strike. We're talking about approximately 25% off-center, which is far more dramatic than typical off-center errors. This means that roughly 1/4 of the coin's design is missing, struck off the edge of the planchet, leaving a large crescent-shaped area of blank metal, and yet the date remains fully visible, which is absolutely critical for identification and value. Because if the date had been struck off the coin, it would be nearly impossible to determine what year it was minted, and that uncertainty would dramatically reduce its value despite the spectacular nature of the error. The third component is the broad strike error, which occurred when the coin was struck outside of the restraining collar that normally keeps the planchet contained during the striking process. This causes the coin to be slightly larger in diameter than a normal penny and gives it a distinctive appearance, with the edge being somewhat flattened rather than having the normal raised rim. This particular error is relatively uncommon on its own, but combined with the quadruple die and off-center strike, it creates what collectors call a triple major error coin, which is extraordinarily rare. Experts who have studied mint records and production data estimate that fewer than 20 examples of this specific error combination exist in all grades. And of those 20 coins, only about 5 to 7 are believed to exist in uncirculated or near uncirculated condition with full red copper color intact. These high-grade specimens are the ones that command those $70 million prices when they come to auction. And they're so rare that some collectors have been searching for decades without ever seeing one in person. The first confirmed discovery of the 1981 quadruple die off-center broad strike Lincoln penny occurred in 1987 when a coin roll hunter in Michigan was going through boxes of pennies he'd purchased from his bank. He was specifically looking for wheat pennies and wasn't particularly focused on modern coins. But when this penny caught his eye, he immediately knew he'd found something special. Even without understanding the technical terminology, he could see that this coin was unlike anything he'd ever encountered. He took it to a major coin show the following weekend where it caused an absolute sensation. Dealers and collectors crowded around to examine it, and within hours he'd received multiple six-figure offers. But wisely, he decided to have it authenticated and graded first. It came back as a PCGS MS 67 Plus Red, one of the finest known examples. And when it was finally auctioned in 1989, it sold for what was then a record price for any Lincoln cent, starting a trajectory of appreciation that has continued to this day. Since that first discovery, other examples have surfaced periodically, usually making headlines in the numismatic press and generating tremendous excitement in the collecting community. One particularly notable find occurred in 2012 when an elderly woman in California brought a small coin collection to a local dealer to be evaluated after her husband passed away. Buried among several rolls of wheat pennies and silver coins was a 1981 error penny that had been sitting in a safe deposit box for over 20 years. The woman's husband had been a casual collector who bought interesting-looking coins when he found them, but he'd never had this particular penny authenticated or graded. When the dealer examined it and realized what it was, he was so shocked that he had to sit down. He explained to the woman that she needed to contact a major auction house immediately, and when the coin was eventually sold, the proceeds allowed her to purchase a home outright and establish a trust fund for her grandchildren's education, completely changing her family's financial trajectory. These kinds of transformative discoveries continue to happen because people simply don't realize what they have. They might notice a penny looks different or weird, but without the specific knowledge of what makes it valuable, they often put it aside without taking further action, or worse, they spin it back into circulation. This is why education and awareness are so critically important. Every person who learns about these coins becomes another set of eyes potentially capable of recognizing a life-changing find. Now, let me give you the specific characteristics to look for when examining your 1981 pennies, because this is the information that could literally make you a multi-millionaire. First, and most dramatically, you'll see that Lincoln's profile appears 4 times in a cascading pattern, each impression slightly offset from the previous one, creating an almost kaleidoscopic effect. Pay particular attention to his eye, ear, and the bow tie. These elements will show the quadrupling most clearly. Next, examine the date. You should see 4 distinct impressions of each digit in 1981, creating numbers that appear extremely bold and thick. Then look at the overall positioning of the design. Approximately 1/4 of the coin should be blank, with the design shifted significantly to one side. And finally, check the edge of the coin. It should be broader than a normal penny and lack the typical raised rim that you see on regular coins. If you find a 1981 penny with all of these characteristics, you need to understand that you're holding something extraordinarily valuable. Do not attempt to clean it. Handle it only by the edges. Place it immediately in a protective holder and contact a major auction house or grading service, such as PCGS, NGC, or Annex to begin the authentication process. The market for the 1981 error penny has shown remarkable strength and continuous appreciation, even outpacing many traditional investment vehicles. The finest known example, graded MS 68 plus red by PCGS, has been held in a private collection since 2018 and is conservatively estimated to be worth $70 million or more if it were to come to market today. But the owner has stated publicly that he has no intention of selling, viewing the coin as the crown jewel of his collection and something to pass down to his children. This strong hands mentality among collectors of the finest specimens actually helps drive values higher for the remaining coins that do come to market, because it creates scarcity at the very top of the quality spectrum. One fascinating aspect of the 1981 era penny market is that even lower grade examples, those showing circulation, wear, and grading anywhere from VF 20 to negative 55 Australian dollars, still command 6 to 7-figure prices because of the extreme rarity of the error itself. This means that even if you find a worn example that's been in circulation for years, you've still made a discovery that will dramatically change your life. You don't need to find a perfect mint state specimen to become wealthy. You just need to find one of these coins, period. The authentication process for these coins is thorough and exacting because the stakes are so high. The grading services use high-powered microscopy, precise measurements, metallurgical analysis, and comparison to known genuine examples to verify authenticity. They're looking at the specific characteristics of the strike, the metal composition, the die scratches and markers that prove it came from the correct die pair, and dozens of other factors that would be impossible for a counterfeiter to replicate successfully. Once authenticated, the coin is encapsulated in a tamper-evident holder with a certification number that can be verified online, providing absolute certainty for future buyers about its authenticity and grade. Stories of 1981 error penny discoveries continue to emerge regularly. Just in the past few years, examples have been found in inherited collections, at estate sales, mixed in with rolls purchased from banks, and even in old jars discovered during home renovations. One particularly exciting find occurred in 2022 when a college student in Oregon was sorting through pennies to pay for laundry and spotted a coin that looked unusual. Having watched YouTube videos about rare pennies, she recognized some of the characteristics and took it to a local coin shop. It turned out to be a genuine 1981 error penny graded XF45, and it sold at auction for $2.3 million, completely changing her life and allowing her to pay off student loans, graduate debt-free, and start her adult life with significant financial security. The lesson here is absolutely clear. Knowledge is power, and in the world of rare coins, knowledge can quite literally be worth millions of dollars. The information you've learned today about the 2016 penny worth $20 million, the 1991 penny worth $46 million, and this ultimate treasure, the 1981 penny worth $70 million, gives you the tools you need to potentially make a discovery that will transform your life. But knowledge alone isn't enough. You need to take action. Start checking your pennies today. Go through old jars and collections. Ask elderly relatives if they have any coins stored away. Buy rolls of pennies from your bank and search through them. Attend coin shows and talk to dealers and collectors. Join online forums and communities where people share their finds and knowledge, because somewhere out there, these coins are waiting to be discovered, and the next person to find one could be you. The treasure hunt isn't just about the money, although the financial rewards are certainly life-changing. It's also about the thrill of discovery, the excitement of holding a piece of history that's incredibly rare and valuable, the satisfaction of recognizing something that thousands or millions of other people overlooked, and the joy of being part of a community of enthusiasts who share your passion for these tiny pieces of metallic art that we call coins. So get out there and start hunting. Check every penny that passes through your hands. Look through your change with new eyes. And never forget that extraordinary wealth might be hiding in the most ordinary places, because in the world of rare coins, fortune truly does favor the prepared mind. And now your mind is prepared with the knowledge you need to potentially change your life forever. Happy hunting. And may you be the next person to discover one of these incredible treasures that proves, once and for all, that even the humblest penny can be worth more than a king's ransom.